A leading Canadian Second World War air ace who flew for the Royal Canadian Air Force, fighter pilot Don Laubman had a distinguished career in military aviation, spanning from 1940 to 1972. Born in Provost, Alberta in 1921, Don became captivated by aviation after seeing Wap May barnstorming in the 1920s. His love for flying only continued to grow, and when a Second World War broke out in 1939, it was perhaps inevitable that, upon deciding to enlist, he chose to do so with the Royal Canadian Air Force. Trained as part of the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan, Don earned his wings in 1941 and was selected for duty as a flight instructor. Promotions soon followed, as did a posting to the Central Flying School at Trenton, where he took flight instruction training in the Fleet Finch and Fawn and the Harvard Mark II. Don was then posted to Elementary Flight Training School No. 31 in De Winton, Alberta, where he eventually logged some 2,000 hours, mostly on Tiger Moths and Stearmans. In 1942, Don was transferred to 133 Squadron, flying Harvards and Hurricanes. The squadron was training pilots for overseas service, but it was slow going, with those selected being picked by drawing lots. Not keen on waiting, Don traded up the line.
I drew number 26, which is a long, long way off. I went to number 25 and said, 3 weeks isn't going to make much difference to you, is it? Why don't we trade? And I worked my way up to number 2. But I couldn't dislodge number 1, who happened to be my buddy, the fellow who had gone down Lethbridge with me.
Sent overseas in March of 1943, Don was soon posted to 412 Squadron, RCAF. The unit's Spitfire Mark Vs were mainly flying escort for United States Air Force bombers assaulting the French coast. It was with 412 Squadron that Don claimed his first victory, a Junkers Ju-88 on the 23rd of March, 1944. Flying a patrol led by Wing Commander Buck McNair, Don reported how he drove down and opened fire at 350 yards, making a port attack. The Junkers began to burn and the aircraft force-landed in a field. It was a shared victory. More would soon follow. Don's squadron crossed the Channel on D-Day, the beginning of a remarkable period in his RCAF career. Between the 6th of June and the end of his tour in November of that year, Don flew at least 102 missions, several of which involved multiple encounters with enemy aircraft. His squadron's post-D-Day service began with beach patrols. By summer of 1944, he was flying armed reconnaissance missions, patrols, and bombing runs. In July, he claimed 2 Focke-Wulf FW-190s, and in August, 1.5 Messerschmitt Bf-109s, dogfights that saw Don demonstrate why he was such a successful fighter pilot, his willingness to engage at close quarters. Over a 3-day period in September, Don flew a series of hectic engagements that accounted for 9 aircraft destroyed and at least 2 more damaged, a truly remarkable record. Don was posted back to Canada when his tour ended, but he managed to arrange for another posting overseas, this time in command of 402 Squadron. During his wartime service, Don destroyed 15 enemy aircraft, all but one between June and October of 1944. For these and other flying exploits, Don Laubman was twice awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. Shortly after demobilization, Don re-enlisted in the RCAF. His post-war career included postings to 410, 416, and 418 squadrons. In 1949, he led the RCAF's first jet aerobatic team, the Blue Devils. The team performed some 45 air shows over a 3-year period. Don also assumed increasing administrative responsibility. After attending the RCAF Staff College in 1957, he was promoted to Wing Commander, then Group Captain, Air Commodore, Major General, and Lieutenant General. Between 1966 and 1969, Don played a key role in implementing the unification of Canada's armed forces, and in 1970-71, he served as Commander of Canadian Forces Europe. When he returned to Ottawa, Don ended his career as Chief of Personnel, Canadian Forces Headquarters. Having retired in 1972, Don began his civilian business career with Canadian Tire, and he contributed generously to his community. A proud Rotary Club member, he served also on several boards, including Crime Stoppers and the Red Deer Regional Hospital Foundation. In recognition of his years of service to Canada and to his community, Don was chosen as Red Deer's Citizen of the Year in 2004. He received the Alberta Centennial Award in 2005, and in 2007 he was awarded the Alberta Order of Excellence. Don Laubman passed away in June of 2018. For his lifetime of service with the Royal Canadian Air Force and his contributions to Canada's military aviation, notably during the Second World War and during the Cold War, Don Laubman was inducted into Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame at ceremonies held in 2022.